My wife leaned on the counter that night, scrolling through her phone while I stirred a pot of pasta. James, she said casually, my ex, Edward, will be joining us for Christmas dinner. Be mature about it. The words landed heavier than she probably intended. I froze, wooden spoon halfway to the pot. Her ex? I turned slowly. Edward? She nodded without looking up. He's been going through a rough time. No family around. I thought it'd be nice. I forced a smile that didn't reach my eyes. You already invited him? Of course, she said, voice sweet but dismissive. Your mom's fine with it. I told her yesterday. That last part stung worse than the news itself. She'd gone to my mother before even mentioning it to me. I set the spoon down. Lydia, you should have asked me first. It's weird inviting an ex to my parents' Christmas. It's only weird if you make it weird, she replied, tone sharpening. He's a friend. I just need you to be mature about this. There it was, that line. The one people use when they've already decided they're right. I exhaled slowly. Sure, I said, pretending calm. He can come. She smiled, relief washing over her face. Thank you. I knew you'd understand. But I didn't understand, not at all. As she left the kitchen humming, my pulse quickened. Something was off. The casualness, the overconfidence, it all felt rehearsed. That night, when Lydia fell asleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling for what felt like hours. My mind replayed her words. He's going through a rough time. But why did that sound like a lie? My gut whispered that this wasn't about sympathy. It was about unfinished business. I reached for her phone on the nightstand. My heart thudded in my throat. I hated myself for even thinking it, but I needed to know. Her passcode hadn't changed. Within seconds, I was inside. Message after message, Edward's name everywhere. They'd been texting constantly. Memes, jokes, long late-night conversations. Remember when? You always made me laugh. Even a message from Edward. I miss what we had. Things were simpler. And Lydia's reply burned through me. I know. Sometimes, I wonder what would have happened if we'd tried harder. My hand trembled as I scrolled. There was nothing explicit, no confession, but the intimacy was undeniable. The kind that thrives in secrecy. I took screenshots, sent them to myself, and deleted every trace. Then I just sat there, watching her sleep, feeling something inside me splinter quietly. The next morning, I acted normal. I made coffee, kissed her forehead, asked about her day. But while she scrolled through her feed, I dug deeper. Edward wasn't going through a rough time. A quick search of his social profiles told a very different story, one with engagement photos. His fiancée, Pamela, had posted a Thanksgiving picture captioned, "Grateful for this man and our future together." So, Lydia had lied. Edward was doing just fine too fine. And if Pamela didn't know her fiancé was spending Christmas with his ex, that felt like a truth she deserved. That evening, when Lydia went out to pick up wine for dinner, I created a burner account and messaged Pamela. Hi, you don't know me, but I'm married to Edward's ex, Lydia. She invited him to Christmas dinner with my family. From your posts, it looks like you two are engaged. Thought you should know. She replied within an hour. Shocked, confused. We moved the conversation to text. He told me he was going to a work holiday party, she said. I told her everything, the invitation, the messages, the lies. She listened, quiet at first, then angry. And when I asked if she'd like to join our Christmas dinner, she paused. Are you serious? She asked. Wouldn't that be awkward? Definitely, I said. But the truth deserves an audience. Silence. Then, send me the address. When I hung up, my reflection in the window looked foreign. Calm, almost cold. For the first time since Lydia dropped her little bombshell, I felt something close to control. Christmas was in 5 days. My wife thought she was bringing a ghost from her past to dinner. What she didn't know was that I'd already invited the ghost's future. The days leading up to Christmas felt like living inside a quiet storm. Everything calm on the surface, chaos underneath. Lydia was in an unusually cheerful mood. She hummed while wrapping gifts, texted Edward about plans and logistics, and asked my opinion on which dessert to bring. I played along. I smiled, nodded, and acted like the mature husband she wanted me to be. But every time she laughed at her phone, something twisted inside my chest. The night before Christmas, she called Edward while I was in the other room. Her voice softened in that way she used to talk to me years ago, gentle, teasing. "Can't wait to see you," she said. "It'll be nice. Like old times. Old times." The words hit like a bruise. When she hung up, I quietly finished packing the car. Gifts, wine, and one additional place setting in the trunk. Pamela had confirmed she'd come. We agreed to keep things simple, no scene, no confrontation unless it happened naturally. Naturally. That word carried a different weight when you knew lies were about to collide in a room full of family. Christmas morning arrived bright and cold. Lydia woke me up with a kiss on the cheek, smiling as if nothing in the world could go wrong. "Merry Christmas," she said. "Merry Christmas," I replied, watching her disappear into the closet to get dressed. For a moment, I wondered if I should feel guilty if I was being cruel by setting this up. But then, I remembered the messages, the laughter, I miss what we had. By noon, we were on the road to my parents' house. The familiar drive felt strange, this time, heavy with expectation. I gripped the steering wheel while Lydia scrolled through her phone, probably checking in with Edward. At 1 p.m., we arrived. My mom had outdone herself: roast turkey, pies, candles flickering across the dining table. Martha was chasing her kids around the living room while Dad pretended to watch football but clearly enjoyed the chaos. It all looked so normal, so peaceful, that I almost forgot the storm I'd invited into it. Lydia helped Mom in the kitchen, smiling and laughing, slipping easily into her daughter-in-law role. "It feels good to be here," she said sweetly. I just nodded. "Yeah, perfect day for family." At 2:15, the doorbell rang. Lydia straightened instantly. "That must be him," she said, and before anyone could move, she rushed to the door. Edward stepped inside, holding a bottle of wine and wearing his most charming grin. "Merry Christmas," he said warmly. My mom's face lit up. She'd always liked polite guests. Lydia hugged him, a little too long. "I'm so glad you came," she whispered. I shook his hand. "Good to see you, man," I said evenly. He smiled back, oblivious or pretending to be. The next half hour was surreal. Edward fit right in, laughing at my dad's jokes, chatting with Martha about her kids. Lydia hovered near him constantly, touching his arm when she laughed, leaning close when she spoke. I watched everything like a silent director on set. Every gesture, every glance, evidence of a script they thought I didn't know. At 2:45, the doorbell rang again. "I'll get it," I said quickly, already knowing who stood on the other side. Pamela. Red sweater, calm face, eyes that told me she wasn't there to play nice. She held a bottle of wine identical to Edward's. "You must be James," she said softly. "I am," I replied. "Thanks for coming. Merry Christmas." Her lips tightened into something between a smile and a challenge. "Merry Christmas." When I led her into the living room, it was like pressing a slow-motion button on reality. Edward froze mid-laugh. Lydia's smile died on her lips. "Pamela?" Edward stammered, standing so quickly his beer nearly spilled. She didn't flinch. "You didn't mention I'd be spending Christmas with your ex, Edward. I guess you forgot to include that part." My mom blinked in confusion. "Oh dear, are you too?" "Engaged," Pamela said clearly, looking at me. "James was kind enough to invite me after I learned my fiancé had other plans for the holidays." The room went silent. You could hear the hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. My dad muted the TV. "James," Lydia said slowly, voice trembling. "What is this?" "This," I said calmly, "is Pamela, Edward's fiancée." "You didn't mention that part either, Lydia." "So, I thought we'd all spend Christmas together. Be mature about it." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Lydia's face flushed deep red. Edward's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Pamela crossed her arms, eyes glinting with quiet fury. "Explain," she said to Edward. "Now." This isn't what it looks like," he stammered. "Then what is it?" she shot back. "Because it looks like you lied to me so you could spend Christmas with your ex-girlfriend and her husband's family." "Lydia," I said, turning to my wife. "You told me Edward was going through a hard time. I didn't realize you meant with his fiancée." She glared at me, voice shaking. You invited her just to humiliate me. No, I said evenly. I invited her because she deserved to know the truth. Just like I did. Pamela turned toward Lydia then, her tone icy. And you, how long has this been going on? The silence that followed said everything. For a full 5 seconds, no one said a word. The only sound came from the soft clatter of Martha's kids' toys in the other room. Then Edward broke the silence with a weak laugh that fooled no one. Pamela, please, let's not do this here, he said. You're embarrassing everyone. Pamela's eyes blazed. I'm embarrassing you? You lied to me, Edward. You said you had a work party. Instead, you're sitting here in your ex's in-laws' living room. Lydia stood suddenly, her face pale but defiant. James, this is ridiculous. You invited her just to make a scene. I stayed seated, calm and collected, though inside, my heartbeat thundered in my ears. No, Lydia, I said quietly. I invited her because she deserves to know where her fiancé really is. Just like I deserve to know who I've been married to. My mom finally spoke, her voice trembling. What's happening here? I looked straight at Lydia. Should I tell them? Or will you? She glared at me, her voice cracking. You went through my phone? I did, I said, standing slowly. And I found months of messages between you and Edward. Inside jokes, late-night talks, and enough emotional betrayal to fill a book. You told him you missed what you had. You told him you wondered what would have happened if you tried harder. You lied about him being single. You lied about why he was coming here. So yes, I went through your phone because I already knew something was wrong. Lydia's lips trembled. It wasn't like that. Pamela cut her off. Then what was it like, Lydia? Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like two people trying to rekindle something behind everyone's back. Edward ran a hand through his hair, visibly sweating now. Pamela, please, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down, she shouted. You've been sneaking around, talking to your ex every day, lying to me, lying to her husband, and you want me to calm down? The tension snapped like glass. My dad muted the TV completely and folded his arms. Son, he said, glancing at me. You okay? Yeah, I said, voice steady. Better now that everyone knows. Lydia's tone shifted, desperate now. James, please, let's not do this in front of your family. Can we talk privately? No, I said, meeting her eyes. You made this public when you brought your ex to Christmas dinner. You told me to be mature about it, so here we are. Pamela turned to Edward. We're done. Don't come home tonight. Don't call me. I'll have my brother pick up your things. Edward's face crumbled. Pamela, please. She raised a hand sharply. No, you had a choice, and you made it. Merry Christmas. She turned to my mother, who looked both horrified and sympathetic. I'm sorry for the scene, Pamela said softly. But thank you for having me. At least now I know the truth. My mom nodded gently. You don't owe anyone an apology, dear. Pamela gave me a small, grateful smile, the kind only someone who's just been set free can manage, and left quietly. Edward stood frozen for a moment, staring at the floor. Then, wordlessly, he followed her out. The door shut behind them with a hollow click that echoed through the room. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Lydia's eyes brimmed with tears, but her expression hardened when she saw no sympathy on anyone's face. I can't believe you'd humiliate me like this, she said bitterly. I stepped closer. You humiliated yourself, Lydia. You lied to me. You went behind my back. And when I questioned you, you told me to be mature. So, I let the truth speak for itself. Her tears fell freely now, streaking her mascara. I didn't cheat, James. Not physically. That doesn't make it better, I said coldly. You built a secret world with him. You just forgot to lock the door. Martha spoke for the first time, her voice firm. Lydia, what did you think would happen? You can't play with people's lives like that. Lydia glanced at her, then at my parents, then back at me. You're all judging me. Like you've never made mistakes. My dad's expression was calm but stern. There's a difference between a mistake and a choice, Lydia. You made choices. Her lips quivered, but she said nothing. She just grabbed her purse and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The entire house exhaled as if a storm had just passed through. My mom turned to me quietly. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" I nodded, though the weight in my chest was heavier than ever. "Yeah, I just didn't want anyone else to be lied to." Martha glanced toward her phone, which she'd been holding discreetly the entire time. I, uh, might have recorded that," she said softly. I looked at her in disbelief. "You recorded all of that?" She shrugged. "I didn't plan to. But it might come in handy." Despite everything, I laughed a small, broken sound. "You might be right." Outside, I could hear Lydia's car engine start and fade into the distance. I stood there, surrounded by the remnants of Christmas laughter, replaced by shock, warmth replaced by silence, and realized I felt strangely calm. The truth was ugly, but at least it was out. That night, I didn't go home. My mom insisted I stay at their place. "No one should be alone after something like that," she said softly, setting out blankets and tea. My dad poured me a drink and sat beside me on the couch. After a long silence, he looked over and said, "Son, that was the most interesting Christmas we've ever had." Well done. Coming from my father, that was basically a standing ovation. The rest of the night was a strange mix of quiet and reflection. The shock was still there, but so was a sense of clarity. For the first time in months, I wasn't second-guessing myself. I wasn't wondering if I was paranoid, jealous, or insecure. The truth had settled everything. Lydia didn't call that night, but when I checked my phone in the morning, I had 17 messages from her. They swung wildly from anger to guilt to desperate apologies. "You went too far, James. I'm sorry. Please call me. You humiliated me in front of everyone. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Please, can we talk?" I replied only once. "Talk to my lawyer." It was the cleanest message I've ever sent. By noon, I'd already spoken to my attorney. I had screenshots of the messages, proof of the lies, and even Martha's video from Christmas dinner. My lawyer called it a gift-wrapped case of emotional betrayal. 2 days later, I went back to our apartment with my dad and brother-in-law to grab essentials. Lydia wasn't there, but she'd left a note on the kitchen counter. "I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen. Please let me explain. L." I read it once and dropped it straight into the trash. Weeks passed. The initial sting began to fade, replaced by something steadier peace. Lydia moved in with her sister. She tried reaching out through mutual friends, telling them she'd made a mistake and wanted to talk. Some of them told her to move on. Most didn't take sides, but the few who'd seen the video didn't blame me for anything. Martha's video had made the rounds in our extended family group chat. No one shared it publicly, but everyone had seen it. My aunt called it a Hallmark movie gone wrong. My cousin texted, "You win Christmas, bro." I didn't feel like a winner, but I understood what they meant. Then one evening, about a week after New Year's, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. It was Pamela. "Hey, it's me. Just wanted to say thank you again for letting me know. I'm sorry everything blew up that way." We met for coffee the next day. It wasn't romantic, just two people comparing notes. After surviving similar betrayals, she told me Edward had tried to apologize, claiming nothing physical ever happened. "But honestly," she said, stirring her drink, "I don't care. Emotional cheating is still cheating." I nodded. "Same here." She smiled faintly. "Guess we both dodged bullets." "Guess so," I said. We talked for nearly 2 hours about everything and nothing. There was no spark, no tension, just quiet understanding. When we said goodbye, she thanked me again for being honest. "If you hadn't told me," she said, "I might have married a man who would have kept choosing his ex over me." Those words stuck with me long after she left. 2 months have passed since that Christmas. The divorce is nearly finalized. Lydia didn't fight it, my lawyer says. She just wants it over with. I think she's too ashamed to drag it out. We're selling the apartment. I'll keep 60% of the proceeds since I covered most of our expenses. My parents joke that I should frame the court papers like a trophy, but honestly, I don't want reminders. I just want closure. I've been living at my parents' place in the meantime. The house feels warm again. Dinners, board games, movie nights. There's laughter, but a different kind. Honest. Simple. Last week, Lydia sent me one final email. It was long paragraphs of regret. I know I destroyed something good. I never physically cheated, but I understand why you felt betrayed. I wish I could undo it. I hope one day you'll forgive me, even if we can't be together. I didn't respond, not out of anger, but because I'd finally realized forgiveness doesn't always require conversation. Sometimes silence is its own answer. As I write this, the holidays are coming around again. My family already has a new rule. Mom gets to approve all guests next Christmas. We laugh about it now. But deep down, I know that dinner changed all of us. I learned that sometimes being mature isn't about staying quiet. It's about knowing when to speak, when to expose the truth, and when to walk away. And if there's one thing I took from that day, it's this: the truth may ruin a moment, but it will save your life. So no, I don't regret what I did. I just wish I'd trusted my instincts sooner. Thank you for listening. If you believe in second chances and strength after pain, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Every click helps us bring more real stories to life.